Hey everyone, Scott here, and today I've got another Fusion World gameplay video for you, and this time we're playing as Ginyu, and we're up against a Beerus. It's not necessarily the leader I want to be going against with Ginyu, since we have a lot of 20k or less guys, having their leader being able to give something minus 10k each of their turns, means they're going to have a real easy time clearing some of our Ginyus on the later turns. But to balance that out, I suppose just a little bit, is the fact that they're a crit leader. So on these early turns, they're not going to be drawing cards when they attack. With a deck like Ginyu, where you're trying to hit them with a lot of 20ks, basically each attack is just taking a card out of the hand. It functions almost like a hand destruction deck in some ways. You just run your opponent's hand out of cards with repeated attacks until they can't get out of them anymore. And that's when you start pushing through the damage. In terms of the opening hand, this is actually a pretty decently balanced opening hand, but my thought process at the time was I don't see any Self-Awakeners here, I don't see any of the Reikums or the 2-cost freezers, so I decided to ship it back. But what we end up getting is maybe not the most balanced hand with 3 super combos here. It's not necessarily what you want to see on the early turns, although having these super combos this early in the game, we can be pretty fast and loose by using these early on to save our Ginyu Force members from on the board. Our opponent's probably going to try and clear them early on in the game, so we have that nice 20k boost. Not much to say here really on the early turns. Go ahead, take the crit off our opponent's leader. There's no way I'm going to combo out of that, even if I do have the super combos in hand. I want to get down to where I can awaken, just so I can have access to the skill on the leader's backside. It's really what can put a lot of pressure on your opponents. The way they have to play around the ability to restand all of your Ginyus. You can have some pretty wild turns where you can start the turn with a couple of Ginyu Force members on board, tackle them all, restand them, attack them all again, and there's not many decks that can stand up to that, so we want to get down to where we can awaken. And what I was saying before here about defending our Ginyus pretty early on, able to do this here, giving us the 20k on board. Our opponent's going to have trouble getting out of that this turn. Go ahead, attack with our leader first, since we're only 15k, whereas the Ginyu battle card can attack into their awakened leader. And we'll see here that they do go ahead and awaken early on. They don't try to hold on to that crit pressure from the Beerus leader. And now we'll see what I was saying before about Ginyu really taxing your opponent's hand. Basically every 20k attack we have into them now is just -1 card from their hand. See here they're comboing away their Android 17s, which I guess makes a bit of sense because they don't need the Self-Awakening now and cost a bit more than the Krillins and are a bit harder to attack with. Well, no, they're both 20ks. They're easier to defend, I suppose, than the Krillin. And here we get the 4th copy of our super combos, so we've seen all our super combos turn 3. It was debatable here about using Crush Ball basically just to draw a card. I think I probably should have done that. Here I think I do end up and go ahead and do it on a later turn. I don't know what kind of blocker I might have thought my opponent could be running. So with their leader skill there and what's this card called again? Kamehameha. They're able to clear the Jace. That's the unfortunate thing of the Jace. Similar to the Krillin, I guess, it's only 15k during your own turn. And here, I believe, we're going to go ahead and save one of our Ginyus again. They do get down the Tournament of Power Arena, which is going to put in a lot of work for them this turn. This game, even. It's basically a 5k boost each turn, so it lets them basically blank 1 attack each turn because we're not going to combo on these 20k attacks into their leader. But instead they go ahead and they use it here to save Krillin from our leader swing. Literally the only reason I'm swinging in with our leader on their Krillin is because I have the potential to KO this. Like I was saying, it's only 15k during their turn. Whereas if I swing into their leader, I'm not going to combo on it, so I wouldn't be doing any damage there. But with them using the arena now, it means they don't have it for these 2 attacks, so it's going to, like I said, put more pressure on their hand. Go ahead here and get a little bit closer to Awakening. We'll play the Guldo from our hand if we don't get lucky and get a better Ginyu Force off of the life that we take, but we do end up getting a Jace. And I decided it's probably better just to get the Jace on the board than the Guldo. He's sacrificing, obviously, the fact that you're only getting a 1 cost card rather than 2 cost card, but Jace is actually an attacking threat. The fact that our opponent was starting to take the damage, that was a sign to me that maybe they didn't have a lot of combo power in their hand, and to be fair, outside the 2 super combos they're holding, they do have a lot of 0 combo power cards. So I thought it was probably pretty free for me to be able to get rid of the Krillin off the board if I can. It also gets rid of their ability to clear some of my Ginyu Force members during their turn. But I think I overcommitted once they saved it the second time. Maybe these attacks should have been going in on their leader. Even if they did decide to take him to get more cards in hand, it's putting them on a lower life total, so even just a single Ginyu on later turns might be enough to win the game. I especially don't think I should have attacked in there and comboed on it. But I suppose I would have had to have known that, you know, 2 of the cards in their hand were super combos. Or at least they had a super combo in their hand, I suppose. I do end up using a card. It was the 1 cost freezer, I believe. I wasn't quite paying attention, just trying to save the Raikou. I don't know why they're trying to clear the Raikou. I suppose there's no difference between any of these 20ks once they hit the board. And we'll see here, they go ahead and drop the secret rare. I think they should have KO'd my Jace, because with only 1 card in hand, unless this is a super combo, I'm not going to be able to save either of the Ginyus if they attack into it. So they could actually get 2 cards off the board by minusing the Jace down to 0 and then attacking in with the secret rare. And I'm also incentivized to take the hit because it'll deal 1 damage to me and get me down to where I can self-awaken. So I feel like they probably could have had 2 cards off the board this turn. Or, well, they could have had an extra card off the board. I mean, they've already had the Raikou off the board this turn. Go ahead and get a second Guldo from our life. Go ahead and charge the freezer. I like to stop charging once I hit 5 energy with Ginyu. Basically, it allows me to play a 20k guy and still have the leader ability up for 5 total energy. Obviously, we're not in a position now to use this. We don't have 2 cards in hand to discard, but on a later turn, I want to have that 5 energy just in case, you know. So go ahead here and awaken. We get back 1 energy, which isn't super useful in our current situation. We'd probably much rather have a card like all the other leaders. But we do get the card off attacking, and it draws us into a Ginyu, which is a pretty decent one to get. Top 5 search, you're going to hit quite a few targets. Go ahead and grab a Jace. There's another 1k, rather 1 cost 20k attacker this turn. Put a bit more pressure on our opponent. And they're still taking the hits even though they have the 1 super combo in hand, which is interesting. I suppose maybe they want to try and use it in case I'm going to try and clear one of these guys off the board. But instead I decide to use a Guldo to keep a secret rare and rest, and I decide a better use of my energy rather than playing the Jace for 1 and then attacking their leader. I mean, it would have forced them to get rid of another super combo, which would have been useful, but I decided just to lock down both of the battle cards they have on the board already. This represents 2 less attacks into my Ginyu Force guys on the board, so I have a better chance of these surviving into next turn, where maybe I can think about using the leader skill to push for the game. But we're not quite able to go all in this turn, so go ahead and pass. And our opponent is going to play the Gohan, because that and the leader skill on the same card can get it down to 0. So they're going to get rid of both of our Ginyus here. And even, I believe, they use the Mafuba as well to get rid of one of our Guldos. So we're not able to lock down 2 things each turn anymore. This is a situation where, you know, it was looking quite bad in terms of what we have on board, what we have in hand. The fact our opponent's still on 2 life. They don't have a lot of cards in hand, but they do have the Tournament of Power Arena here that is basically going to blank this Jace attacker or leader swing for free, essentially, at this point. So this seemed like a point in the game where maybe some people would concede here. In the end, I didn't. I thought I may as well keep going. We do seem to be pretty far behind our opponent. Much bigger board, even a bigger hand. The only advantage we really have is the 2 extra life. But I decided, let's go ahead and keep playing it out. Let's make our opponent beat us rather than just giving up. So go ahead here, and they use the super combo rather than the Tournament of Power Arena to get out of that attack, which is interesting. But I suppose since everything we attack with is 20k, it's much of a muchness which way round they do it. If they'd held the super combo and used the arena, they'd be super comboing now. There's a debate here as to which of the Ginyus to play. The card I'm most kind of searching for is now you see the Power of the Ginyu Force, this one that lets you draw 2 cards. If I play the 3-cost Ginyu here, I can definitely get it because I have this one in the drop I can add back to my hand. If I don't play the 3-cost and I play the 2-cost here, which is what I ended up doing, I still have the chance of seeing another copy in the top 5 of this extra card, because there's only one that we've used so far. But it also, you know, potentially we could see something like this Ginyu here. There's essentially a free play for the turn. I'd get back the 2 energy I'd pay for him. I don't think we can see another Goldo necessarily. I think we may have gone through all the copies we have. I don't know if I'm playing it at a full 4. We're really unlikely to see another Jace, considering we've got 2 in the drop and 1 on the board. Yeah, there's some decent cards we could get, and if we do get the extra card we're looking for, which we'll go ahead and see that we actually do see it in the top 5. So now we have 1 more energy up than if we had played the 3-cost. Go ahead and get 2 of the Ginyus I was talking about before, but unfortunately now we're only down on 1 energy. We can't actually use them. I decided to keep the Gohan in rest mode. I'm more worried about that having the minus 10k to clear my board. They go ahead, they play the 5-cost double striker. There's no way we were getting out of this with what we have in hand, so... And maybe our opponent isn't considering the fact that they've seen us use all 4 super combos, is maybe why they use the arena proactively here. Although with them being on 1 life, maybe they're just using it now because they really need this to go through if they have any chance of winning. But we have some life that we can kind of play around with. We've got 2 more cards in the hand now that we can use to defend ourselves. We basically have to get out of this attack. We cannot go to 1 life with them having the secret rare on board. and this Jace they can attack into that's only 5k. So we defend ourselves against the Krillin. And now, since they're completely out of energy, even if they do the 1 damage to us with the secret rare, which they will now, they're basically dead with what we already have. They're dead to my leader swing. We can see here they have no combo power in hand, but even if they did have a little bit of combo power, we'd be able to get enough 20k's on the board that it's pretty much a foregone conclusion there that we were going to win next turn. So yeah, that's it for this replay video. Go ahead and let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. You can also subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Doing both of those really helps me out. And be sure to check back on the channel for more of these replay videos.